the sun, the fields are alive. Cheering crowds and the teams collide. In these moments, we stand tall and free. First pride runs deep in me. With every touchdown, we rise and we cheer. Unity and spirit, the heart of the year. Raise your voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zone to go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. Girls in the game, they're fierce and bright. Flag in hand, they give it their might. From every town they bring their dreams. On this field of gold, nothing's as it seems. Together we shine, together we play. In Florida's heart, we own this day. Raise your voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zones go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. So here's to the game, we'll rise and stand. In Florida's field, gray or night band.
All right, we are live here for the North Central Florida Blitz. What the? Unmute these mics here. Reno, unmute your mic. Come on now. Josh Rosen here, along with Christopher Like and Mike Reno. We are here for the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz here as we come to you getting ready for week one here of the 2025 high school football season. Holy cow, summer went somewhere quick out the door. Unbelievable. But here we are, week one, and just glad to have you guys.
There was summer? What are you talking about? There was summer? What are you talking about? What summer?
Summer vacation? I don't know what summer vacation.
No summer. No summer. We had fun with football stuff, so there was no summer for us.
No, absolutely, and everything. But coming up tonight here on the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz, we'll have Noah Ram on from the Gainesville Sun here to talk about area football between Gainesville, Alachua County, and all the surrounding rural counties, and all the way up to Lake City and the points in between. There's some Gator greats that are sitting there on the sidelines this year, so we'll kind of hit a couple of those guys as well. Talk about the Gator, the Gator Nation is sitting there on high school sidelines down here in Gainesville, so that's huge there. We'll talk a little bit about that as well, but also what's to expect here this year here in 2025. But let's just kind of get into it here. We got a few Blitz lines as we go into it, and honestly, I got to say, Mother Nature was not nice to North Central Florida last week in terms of the kickoff classics, or even the week zero games for that matter. I know Bell Oak Hall, that got wiped off the map real quick. They're not even going to try to attempt to make that game up. And as we see the chat, and it said Mark Cannon is, oh my God. And Emery says hello to Reno as well. So we got the crew here for at least one show, so that we can say that.
I'm around. I have not disappeared. I am here.
Well, absolutely, and everything. But with that said, here with everything, I mean, just to kind of give some insights here with what we've got going on here with the kickoff classics. It just stormed. I think you saw what was going on between Newberry East Side, Reno, and I know that 6 minutes of a game, and that was it. They didn't even get anything going.
Nothing really got going at all. A couple few drives down the field for East Side, and Newberry had a big play of a fumble recovery, then all of a sudden, game over.
Yeah, and I'm going to be interested to hear from Noah too. I don't remember where Noah. I think Noah was actually going to be at Ocala Bell last week, and that game got wiped out. So that's going to be interesting to see. To talk to him about that as well in that process. But just looking at some of the teams that are in this area here, I was on Mike Rideout's show, the Prep Zone, about 6:00 this evening. That was on there on Main Street Daily News, and we were talking about some of the teams here. And honestly, looking at it, Buchholz obviously will be the usual suspect, but there's obviously Bradford. There's East Side here that they're looking for another play. I think the 4th trip straight to the playoffs this year. But the one team I don't think a lot of people are talking about, just because again the struggles that they have. But after beating GHS in the Kickoff Classic, gotta give some. You gotta start keeping an eye on Santa Fe.
Santa Fe's on the radar, man. I mean, they're going to be the underdog to watch. They could be that Cinderella team for this year that magically goes deep in the playoffs. We don't know. I mean, it's going to be a week by week game for week by week contention, and see how they handle and perform it.
No, absolutely. And Emery Smith, he was at the game, which was, by the way, this particular game, and I'll bring up here. He made the 2.5-hour trip from Wauchula. Sorry, Emery. I know I should have this down pat. By the way, on Hardy, but Hardy was up there at Lake Weir in Ocala last week, and the game was suspended with 8:55 left in the second quarter. They're trying to see if they can make up that particular game at some point, sometime later in the year. But hopefully they'll make it up, because I feel like that'll have a huge contingency for both teams in terms of where their playoff positioning is in the SSA Atlantic League. But I'm really interested to see where it goes with that one. But again, Mother Nature just really kind of had some. We couldn't even get to week 1, and she already showed her head.
When did Mother Nature ever decide to take a rest?
Huh?
Yeah, when did Mother Nature ever decide to take a rest?
It seems like in Florida, never.
There you go.
Yes, there you go. By the way, looking ahead, here's some of the games that are going to be talked about this week. And remember, North Central Florida region goes all the way up to the state line in Hamilton County, comes all the way down to Sumter County, and in this particular with the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz. And some games focus Trenton at Bell. That's a good big rivalry right there of Gilchrist County teams. By the way, if you don't know this, trivia fact: Gilchrist County only has one traffic light. Which city is it in? South Sumter at Haines City. Baker County obviously going to be at Bradford. Chiefland at Williston. That's a big one there. Battle Levy County rivals. Battle for the Old Oaken Barrel. That's Columbia and Suwannee. And then Vanguard Buchholz Thursday night. That's tomorrow night at Citizens Field. So we've definitely got some good games coming up here this week. But Reno, other thoughts on what we got here for North Central Florida this year? Because I'm feeling like itching. Like there's not only Hawthorne will potentially make it back to the state title game. Buchholz will be in that running for the state semifinals, despite the fact they have a couple pieces of talent lost here.
No, there was a lot lost here in North Central Florida, but we always reload, it seems like. So I kind of feel it in the air this year as well. I think a lot of teams are going to step up, and we're going to see some districts come our way. And I think we're going to see some surprising repeats, and we're going to see some newbies that step up this year.
No, absolutely. Chris, your thoughts here on this as we go through the Blitz Lines, and then we get ready to set the table for the interview with Noah Ram from the Gainesville Sun.
Yeah, Buchholz knocking on that door last year. See if they can get past that last hurdle and get in that state title game.
No, absolutely. I think so. I mean, I agree with you on that one. So, and with that, so, and honestly, I'll tell you this, by the way, FloridaHSFootball.com, you can see the Florida Power Rankings Index forecast for week number 1. By the way, our guest from last week, Gage Brown, just sent me a text message here as we are on, and he said, first time I'm super stumped on the predictions, St. John Lutheran to beat Hernando Christian and by that much. By the way, St. John Lutheran, 8-man program. But again, it's the numbers, it's the calculations, it's the data. I'm not going to go full into it. The OSI numbers, those were posted yesterday. That's the preseason OSI numbers. That's where everybody basically starts at a strength of schedule here. And there's some other things, a performance rating, the numbers. We'll just let the numbers speak this year. So, That's how I'm going to say it. And Mark Cannon says Buchholz has a nasty defense. We'll have to definitely talk about that with Noah Ram here coming up here in a moment. Any other thoughts here, guys, as we wrap up the Blitz Lines and head towards our interview with Noah Ram here after our break?
Feels good to be back on air and talk about football.
It is football season. Chris?
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. All right, we are going to take a 2-minute timeout here to get ourselves set. And we'll have Noah Ram on here for the interview here on the North Central edition of the Blitz. We'll be right back right after this.
Box Out gives you the ability to create graphics at the speed of sports to highlight your athletic department, teams, and student athletes in seconds. Used and trusted by Notre Dame, Ohio State, UConn, Marquette, Georgetown, and many more of the top college brands in the country. If you want your school's brand to stand out through all the clutter, start your free demo at boxoutsports.com.
Touchdown! Juggled and caught!
I've been thinking about this for a long time. I thought if that's out there, I want to make sure I see it and I get involved in it because to me, this was music to my ears. I was blown away. When you look at today's kid, the millennium kid, they learn by being able to see it. If I can see it, there's a great chance that I can do it. The First Down Playbook is a tool that can essentially change the way we teach the game.
All right, welcome back here to the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz here as we bring in Noah Ram from the Gainesville Sun. And Noah, glad you're going to be able to join us here as week one gets started here.
Noah!
You got the fan club, Noah, here. So we're glad to have you on here. And
That's okay.
yeah. You've been a busy man, Noah, and I gotta say that you have just been all over the place, and I know that it seemed like not too distant long ago you were in Houston covering the Florida Gators in a basketball national championship. So I mean, kudos to you for being able to see that.
Yeah, right there. Yep.
So Noah is like a jack of all trades with the Gainesville Sun, not just preps, but also doing Gator sports as well. But we're now, as we get ready for high school football season, Noah, just kind of set the table for us here. What you're just from your viewpoint, what you're expecting out of the area this year, because again, I know Hawthorne playing the state championship last year. Buchholz, I think it was like the 4th straight semifinal appearance. I mean, it's just some big names they left. Like I know DJ Hicks down in Jones now, Trace Johnson. It's not even in not even in the area code anymore. That tells you something.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at on the surface, in the area here, it seems more of the same. It's Buchholz and Hawthorne. Don't know if you guys ever heard of those two programs.
Never heard of them. Don't know where they are.
I don't know where they are, too.
they're kind of a big deal in the state of Florida. And then it's kind of been like everyone else, and they are the two best programs in Alachua County and in the Gainesville area this year. But there are a lot of other storylines outside those two teams, and even Buchholz and Hawthorne, don't seem to be. I think there's this idea that in both 6A and in the rural class that it's been a sustained period of success for so long that it doesn't matter who they have, and I subscribe to that. Like, am I going to pick another team besides Hawthorne to make the rural state title game this year? Probably not, unless it's Madison County where they're playing each other again. Am I going to pick another team to win the region without, Region 1 and 6A besides Buchholz? Probably not. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be, easy this year, because like you said, with Buchholz, they have massive roster turnover, same with Hawthorne. And then obviously, again, so many other storylines with Newberry, with Santa Fe, with Eastside, even within the county, and then Bradford, Columbia outside the county. It's going to be interesting.
Oh, absolutely. And I guess, and with that, I mentioned Santa Fe here, Ernest Graham. It's as I've told people, this is not.
We started with Santa Fe.
Yeah, we haven't heard from Santa Fe in a moment, but I want to bring Santa Fe up because obviously they got a win in the Kickoff Classic against GHS. I mean, that was huge for them. But Ernest Graham, this is not Ernest Graham's first rodeo in coaching. I mean, if you go back and look at where he's coached at, North Fort Myers, Evangelical Christian in this state. Obviously, he was assistant coach at one point with Ian Scott there at GHS. I mean, what how's the morale there now with Santa Fe, what you have seen so far at this point?
I think saying it's excellent would be an understatement. I don't think I've ever seen in my 2 years being here, I don't think I've ever seen a team so excited to win a game that doesn't count in the standings. To be able to win that game in the Kickoff Classic. And I think it's deservedly so. And I think it's interesting there because you used to make an argument, I feel like, in years past, and you'll see this argument still made in college and in the pros. First year head coaches, they need some time to build up a track record, whatever, this and that. In high school football now in Florida, that's not the case. I mean, with the way the transfer rules work, you really can build up a team in year one. And I mean, Ernest already has a name. Not only is he a name in general, and it also helps, of course, that his son is going to be a likely starter this year for Florida. But he has a name in coaching. And I mean, a little bit of a different situation, but, Teddy Bridgewater proves last year with what he did at Northwestern. It doesn't matter what the record was like the year before. You get a name in there and you get the right transfers, which Santa Fe has done. That's what matters. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to win a state title like Northwestern. I'm not saying that. But you look at their schedule, with the exception of district games against Newberry and Bradford, it's a schedule where they really could win 7-8 games this year. It's not it's not unheard of. I mean, right. District it's not extremely challenging outside of that. Now, a lot of that is because, and I understand why you a little bit of school. They play some I think that's there. But sometimes just racking up wins.
No.
It's a program that, again, could win 7 games this year. I don't know if they won 7 games combined in the last 7 years.
Yeah, I can't find the last time they won 7 games and combined, and then like you said, I think the last time they won 7 games, I have to go back to when Bill Wiles was the head coach. That's that's what I have to go back to when they made it. I think it's been probably almost 8, 9, 10 years ago, because they got I think it was like to the regional final, or it was a state semifinal where they got there. But of course, there's a suspect named Rain somewhere in the mix and all that.
Yeah. So. It's exciting. They were kind of the one team last year. It was so fun in the county because, Newberry had their best season in a very long time. Buchholz was still where they are. Hawthorne was still where they are. Eastside had a surprise year. GHS improved. Every team in the county was good except Santa Fe. And they were kind of like the one ugly duckling. And if they can now be, let's even say win 7 games, just win 5 games, then I mean, that's a huge turnaround for this team. So, Kickoff Classic, we'll have to see. They don't play this week. They have a week 1 bye, which is obviously unusual. So we'll have to wait to see till next week how they look. But it'll be interesting to see how they look as the season goes on.
No, absolutely. All right, I'll leave the floor open to Reno or Chris to throw a question out here to Noah. Hit Noah whatever you want at this point. I think Noah is up for the challenge.
I don't want to beat him up like that. He's a great resource. Jeez, Josh, just kick him to the curb. Why don't you? No.
I'm ready.
What I want to talk about are these Alabama teams that keep coming into the state. Let's expand a little bit out of the region. Let's talk a bigger picture. When do we start seeing Gainesville teams start inviting these other out-of-state schools? When do you think
you're ready? No, I mean, you're already seeing it. Alabama might be a little bit. Because the problem with Alabama is obviously when you're talking about Gainesville, you're getting into commutes that are as far as, if not further than Pensacola. I think Alabama just geographically is going to be difficult because, because of just logistics of how long the drive is. But I mean, Buchholz played Richmond Hill last year from right outside Savannah in Georgia. And they went up there. It was, I think, for Buchholz's first game ever outside the state of Florida. And then this season, Richmond Hill comes down to Citizens. So it's going to be a little bit tough, I think, because the thing with Alachua County and the Gainesville area as a whole is funding is such a difficult thing here. It's like even a school like Buchholz that is the most successful program in the area, is the wealthiest school, at least if you just look at the student body in Alachua County. They still get to the point where, they can't schedule games in Miami because it's too expensive. The bus rides are too expensive to get down there. They're going down to Cardinal Newman this year to play the second leg of a home and home with them when they came up to Citizens last year. I don't know how much it's going to cost. I mean, that's a 4-hour trip.
I think I want to recall like a couple of years, before we had the 2 years of Metro Suburban, they had to play where that started that streak of going to the state semifinals. They had to take that trip down the St. Thomas Aquinas, which we all knew that they were going to get their butts handed to them just because St. Thomas Aquinas was that good that year. But I mean, that trip cost them an arm and a leg, and then probably somewhere else.
Right. Oh yeah. So I mean. So that's always been the issue here. So it's like if they're not going out of state, it's tough to think that any other team will. Because, again, we're not in Jacksonville. We're not very close to the border. Now, you can go to Valdosta is 90 minutes away. There are teams that play, even a team like Hawthorne. I mean, Hawthorne went down to IMG White last year, which is a 3-hour trip, 4-hour trip. So, it's possible. So I think we'll start to see it more because what you're starting to see now, especially with a Hawthorne, with a Buchholz, they can't schedule games. And, Hawthorne right now has an 8-game schedule, and they're playing some teams in there that you've never heard of.
And I know that they're still looking for at least 2 more games. And answer Mark Cannon's question: did Citizens Field get filtered? If yet, no, they're still wrangling. The city of Gainesville still wrangling, trying to figure out what they want to do with Citizens Field. So I mean,
no,
another show.
They resodded the field, but I've also heard that it's already a mud pit, and it's not even.
Yeah.
Oh, it was horrible. I was there last week.
Yeah,
it was
you saw it. Yeah.
Oh
if it's bad now, God only knows what it'll be like in November.
Right. It'll probably look like if you have the beach parking lot instead in the middle of the field. But I go up to I-75 real quick here, Columbia, because I know Columbia is part of the coverage area, but they're going to be playing Coffee out of Georgia this year, which I mean, you got to talk about it. The very familiar coach in Mike Coe that they're going to go up against the Tigers there, and but boy, Columbia, I feel like last year they had some struggles, but I know they really want to contend for that district, but St. Augustine's right there in the way, and that's who they've got to get through in order to really secure their playoff berths.
Right. And I mean, you don't necessarily need the whole thing about districts and how it works now is you don't even necessarily, I mean, Buchholz was the number 2 seed in 6A Region 1 last year. And the number 1 seed was Nice, who won the district and beat Buchholz. Now, Buchholz also had 3 losses. Now, Buchholz had a really tough schedule, but Columbia has a really tough schedule too that will help them this year. I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but you mentioned Augustine Manatee, who was a state 75 last year, comes up there. They got to go 2 bowls this year. They have to, I think, Bowles, I think, comes to them, and Trinity Christian comes to them. But those are another 2 tough games. Coffee is obviously challenging up in Georgia. So I'm very intrigued to see how they look. They have a loaded defense. I saw they played Oakleaf in the Kickoff Classic. And that game, I think, actually did end up getting played. The one game that ended up getting played, maybe being a little further north helped. And when all the starters were pulled, at least for Columbia, I don't know what Oakleaf starter situation was like. When Columbia pulled their starters, they were up 10-7 on a team that, again, was in the region final last year and was young, so it's probably going to be pretty good again this year in Oakleaf. So they have a loaded defense. If they can stay healthy, I think their potential is there for them to be a real contender. Since Brian Allen has come back, everything has seemingly got in their way, and they just haven't been able. Injuries, this, that, in this 2 years, it's just something has looked off. And now I think this is finally the year where it's like they seem confident, that they're ready. And I'm planning on going up for that Manatee game. I think it's the first week in October because that'll be a super interesting game, and to have that, and then obviously the UF connections with with Jaquez Green as well.
Oh, yeah. So it's a lot right there as well. Chris, you got a question here as we start to wrap this up
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, Mark Cannon kind of brought it up with the Citizen Field. What's the status about? And there's another question that just popped up. Why didn't the University of Florida help out with the Citizen Field? Anything, any way of improving that field at all?
I think that it's I mean, I don't know. I can't read who just put that comment. I believe there's some politics involved there.
Yeah, that's Reno. That's Reno.
Yeah, that is the correct answer. Is that it is a mess between the city of Gainesville owns the field, the Alachua County Public Schools manages the field. Now, please, someone help me understand what that means. Even I don't know what that means. I do kind of basically what it means is that
$1 a year at least. That's
yeah. I mean, basically what it means is that it's just hard to get progress done on the field because you have the city is being very hesitant to proceed at all with what to do with the field, just because they say they want to get it done and they say they want to rebuild the whole area. But the problem is that's part of a site. Anyone who's have been to a game over there up in Gainesville, there's a city pool that's right by. There's a city rec center. There's a couple of other neighborhood fields around there that is used for for just recreation. So the city has kind of combined all that together, and they've said that citizens among the facilities in that area is at the bottom of their list. They're much more concerned with renovating the pool that's over there and again in the rec center. So that's the problem. So you have a city that's just things move and things in general move very slow with the government of the city of Gainesville.
almost sounds like it almost sounds like it's the hurry up and wait situation, which
right. And then you have a school board that is understandably so a little bit wary of investing a ton of money into the field because they have not gotten clearance yet that they or any indication that the Alachua County that the city of Gainesville even wants to have a partnership with them in the first place, because that's the other thing is that the field might get rebuilt and then the city's just like, all right, we're going to take it from here. Bye school board, we're not getting involved with you on this. So they're unwilling to put turf in or to do anything serious for the long-term maintenance, and it just leads to this problem where it's just like I don't know where right now the last 2 years they've been operating on a year-by-year basis. There's no agreement right now past this season. And for the first time in a very long time, I think there's a real possibility we could be looking at no games being played there in 2026. I think that's a real possibility now because the stadium certainly is not going to be rebuilt by next year. It's going to take years to do that. So right now you're looking at a situation where either they're going to have to some sort of agreement between the city and the school board, or the three schools might move on. And I think where you would see in that situation is Buchholz go to Newberry, GHS go to Santa Fe, and Eastside go to Hawthorne. Those are the only other three. There's only three extra fields in Alachua County in general. Those three, and none of those fields are that great either. It's not like we're dealing with a Georgia football stadium.
I do know real quick to bring up. I know that Eastside has hosted a couple of games on campus before, but I'm sure they might investigate if that came down to it. They would investigate that type of situation. But maybe Buchholz would look at the same thing. Okay, well, we bring a few more bleachers in and just call it a day does Buchholz really want to have their fans go and drive all the way up Newberry for 5 games?
Honestly, and it's weird for me to bring this up, but I think it comes down to security. You can't really secure those areas on those campuses right now. You would have to put large investment right there. And there's no locker rooms that are nearby.
And that's been something that has been discussed, a lot in the past about it, just even for games at Citizens is security. And I think you're right. Josh, you're right in the sense that they can technically, especially Buchholz, can add in more stands, but Buchholz gets, over 1,000 fans routinely for all of their games.
Yeah, you can't put them on campus.
You can't put them all there. Even Eastside.
Parking's already a hassle enough during school hours. I mean, they're parking out 51st Street. So, I mean, if they're parking on 51st, where are you going to find parking at?
Parking is a mess. Eastside doesn't have big enough stadium. GHS, forget it. I mean, they can't expand the stadium at all. I mean, that's already obviously campus.
Landlocked.
landlocked. Yeah.
I know we could go on and out for hours about this topic because honestly, it's going to be a topic that's going to be talked about. It's going to be something that we're going to have to come back to here at some point because it's going to have to be addressed here. But Noah, real quick, where people first find you on social media? I know you're getting more on Instagram, but where are you going to be at this week? And of course, I know next week there's some big games here for the start off the season. First 2 weeks at Citizens Field alone.
Yeah, I guess I'll give for the first 2 weeks of what I think, because we have Thursday, Friday double duty the next 2 weeks. So tomorrow is, of course, the huge Vanguard Buchholz game, and I think that game is going to be super interesting because Vanguard looks good. I mean, they're not in my coverage area, but right down the road. Have an eye on them, and they look pretty good. I mean, they probably deserved to be in the Final Four last year for 4A. Just happened to run into Vernell Brown last year in Jones. So that'll be a super interesting game, and I think Vanguard has a real shot in that game. So I'll be there Thursday. Friday is the battle for the Leafy Cup between Williston and Chiefland down in Williston. So that game will be really fun, and I think that game could be a good indicator of maybe who is best positioned in rural to challenge Hawthorne or Madison this year, which is kind of the next team to do so. So, and then next week, Rickards comes to Eastside Thursday. Down at Citizens, so that'll be an interesting game. Rickards actually beat Eastside last year, but they don't have, I think Jalen Wiggins, the UF commit, he's gone now. So, if Rickards loses at least one key piece, and then next Friday is the Battle of Alachua County, the cross county battle between Hawthorne and Newberry, which is always a fun game, and it's probably the game that I look forward to the most between two local teams. And man, that'll be a good one because Newberry's getting so close to beating.
They're still smarting over that overtime loss from last year.
Right, they came so close last year. Yeah.
And I'll bring up real quick. I know that also next week that another big game that's going to be in the county, not necessarily in county rivals, but it's a big, huge game that a lot of people will be keeping an eye across the state is Vero Beach coming up here.
Yes, and I could be in two different places. It's
really crazy to think that it's so much fun. But
yeah, I know. Well, look at the next week. Week 3, you have in the county, you have Buchholz and Eastside, which of course is the county game. Then you have, or the city game, excuse me. Then you have Florida High coming to Hawthorne, which is the only team. Florida High is the only team that's beaten Hawthorne in the regular season in the last 5 years. They did so last year. And you have Vanguard coming to Newberry. These first few weeks are absolutely loaded here in the county. So it'll be fun though. It'll be a really fun first few weeks. And you can follow me. My Twitter is, or I guess my X is at Noah_Ram1. And then, we'll be starting to provide more updates now on Instagram, where it's at Ram Reporter. Is where you can follow me there. And then obviously Gainesville.com is where all of my content lives. So super pumped to finally get out there. And I'm hoping, you guys were saying the weather was bad this past weekend, but if we're gonna have one bad weather weekend, it might let it be the kickoff classics and get out of here.
Right.
Yeah.
Get it
Last
out of the
season
way.
we had 2 weeks affected by hurricanes. We had this, we had that. Like, please, all I'm asking is no hurricanes.
Yeah, I'm asking for that as well. So, but
please, none. Please, I don't want to have to cover high school football on a Monday night. Please.
No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you indeed. But all right, no, I appreciate you taking your time here for on the busy week 1, and we'll have you on here later on as we progress through the season again to talk as we get closer to the playoffs. Appreciate you, my man.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
All right. That was Noah Ram from the Gainesville Sun joining us here. We're running short on time, guys. So let's take a quick 30-second break from a message from our partners at Jaguars Prep here real quick. I'll flash it up here on the screen here real quick because there is a few counties in the coverage area, Bradford, Columbia, and Union. You guys are eligible to be nominating your players each week during the regular season for Whataburger Player of the Week, brought to you by Jaguars Prep, Whataburger, and FloorHSFootball.com. And with that said, we're going to take a quick 30-second break here, and we'll be back for the Pick 6 here on FloorHSFootball.com. All right, welcome back here on the North Central Florida edition of the Blitz. And there's the music that we all been waiting for. Let's go with picks here. All right, it should say picks for week 1. I'm sorry, it's this week 0 still. I forgot to change it. But everything on the screen. Hey, we got the correct games. We got the correct games.
The magic of technology.
I blame technology for this. All right. Here we go. Trenton at Bell. Bell did not get to play last week. Obviously, Mother Nature got in the way of that game at Oak Hall. That game is not being made up, so this will be Bell's first official game, and as well Trenton's first official game of the season. And here we go. Mark Cannon's already firing off in the comment on the chat here about which game he's picking on before we can even get to our picks here. Gentlemen, real quick, is it Trenton or Bell as I pull up the forecast?
Bell. Not even close.
I know who you're picking. Come on now. Reveal it.
I picked Trenton, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
That's right, because I think Trenton is going to find a way to get through this one because they've lost it before.
Oh, man. I am going with Bell here. I feel like Bell is itching, and they're itching. I know Trenton's itching, too. All right, Bryant Fry, new head coach there this year. But Trenton, it's Joey Whittington. I hate. I'm not hate. It's just crazy to think that he's among the dean of coaches in North Central Florida. It just seemed like yesterday he took over at Bell.
Right.
But it's been a hot minute since that happened. So Mark Cannon's going Trenton. So you've got company with Mark Cannon. I'm going Bell. Chris is going Bell. I think the Bulldogs. It's a battle of Gilchrist County. By the way, did anybody answer the trivia question? Which city in Gilchrist County has the one stoplight?
No, I have not seen the answer. I know the answer.
I know the answer. I'll tell you the answer. Chris, which city? Trenton or Bell?
Bell.
No.
No, Trenton.
I'm sorry. It is Trenton. All right, as we roll along here, our second pick is South Sumter at Haines City. So South Sumter making the trek down to Polk County to play the Hornets. And Ty Lawrence, still the head coach, but is now the athletic director. Congratulations to Mr. Lawrence there, becoming the athletic director there. And Ty, I think the forecast really likes y'all here in this situation here for Haines City. At Haines City, South Sumter 9 over Haines City. Guys, who are you going with? South Sumter or Haines City?
South Sumter.
South Sumter.
Boy, all right. It's a 3 for 3 on the South Sumter. That was not even no contest there, despite the fact, hey, it's only 9-point spread, but South Sumter is favored by win probability is 81%. Haines City 19%. Man. I see here in the chat here the prices. It's like my guy of Central Florida Preps. Charles Jones, who we had on for the Central Florida Blitz, he said not the Price is Right your phone. As Anthony Roof is picking Bell, South Sumter for Mark Cannon, and he says no contest. All right, rolling along here real quick here as we're getting short on time. Baker County at Bradford. So the Tornadoes are going to be hosting the Wildcats. This is a battle of basically of what used to be at one time called New River County between the two counties, all one county. Then it was Baker County, and they split, and it's so the battle of the New River at this point here. My guys, who are we going with? Is it going to be the host Tornadoes at David Hirsch, or is it going to be the Wildcats coming in and making a stink?
I got Bradford winning this one by a couple touchdowns.
Reno, who are you going with, Tornadoes or the Wildcats?
Going with the Tornadoes on this one.
Yeah, considering I'm going with the Tornadoes as well. It looks like everybody's going with Tornadoes in the chat so far that I've seen. What they did at Cocoa, I mean, they didn't win the game, but they played Cocoa pretty tight. So that might be a playoff preview for Class 2A because they're both in the same region, 2A region 2. So just kind of keep an eye on that one here as well. All right. Battle for the Levy Cup with Chiefland, by the way, Bradford 9 over Baker County, giving Bradford an 80% chance of winning that game. All right. Battle for the Levy Cup, Chiefland at Williston. This is a tough one. Chiefland is a 10-point favorite on this one. Chiefland and Williston. By the way, Robbie Pruitt is 4 games away from becoming the first head coach ever in the United States to win 200 games in 2 different states. Never been done by a coach in the entire United States, but Robbie Pruitt could do it this year, and I think he has a good shot here. And by the way, these 2 teams split last year in terms of games. Chiefland won regular season, but Williston got Chiefland in the playoffs. So here it is. Chiefland, 82% chance of winning. Williston, 18%. Reno,
I like Chiefland. I like Chiefland by a couple touchdowns.
Ooh, that's just rude, Chris. Ooh. No, I think the program under Pruitt, knowing how it's been run in the past, Williston will win more than 4 games this season, if not go real deep.
They will.
So
yeah, Chiefland new head coach Cliff Harold is there. It looks like in the chat it's kind of going on a mixed bag here. Mark Cannon's going Chiefland. Anthony Roof is going Williston. I am going Red Devils. I think Robbie Pruitt will cut that deficit down to 3 to get the 200 in the Sunshine State. He's already got 200 in Georgia. He has 196 here in Florida. So that tells you anything. I feel like he will cut that deficit down by 1 here come Friday night. All right. Big rivalry between Columbia and Suwannee at Paul Langford Stadium in Live Oak. 7:30 kickoff. Columbia and Suwannee. I feel like, the forecast line is closer. I feel like, given the history of these teams, I feel like this might be a little bit more spread out. I like Columbia here in this situation. Gentlemen, where are you going with this one?
yeah, I'm rolling with Columbia on this one all the way. Yeah.
Chris?
I am going with Columbia, but it's going to be a game that goes into overtime.
Oh, so you're picking? Wow. Okay, bold prediction. So we're gonna need to have a bowl cast here at some point too. All right. Yeah, we're having fun here. This is what makes it great. All right, and with that said, Columbia 87% chance of winning probability, but with Suwannee over in double digits. So there's you're saying the computer's saying Suwannee has a chance.
There's always a chance.
Mark Cannon says Chris is the wizard of overtime. Well, yeah,
and I have called him quite often.
Yeah. All right, our final game, Vanguard at Buchholz tomorrow night, 7:00 kickoff at Citizens Field. And this one, when you get these 2 teams on the field, they are battles and most years. And Evan Farmer versus Mark Whittemore. What can you say? As I bring up the forecast, Buchholz a 7-point favorite, giving Buchholz a 74% chance of winning. Vanguard 26% chance. Gentlemen, where do we stand on our picks here?
I'm sticking on the local side, and I think Buchholz will show that they're ready for this season and kind of use Vanguard for that example.
Oh, my guy, Charles Jones, I see it pop up in the chat. He's going Buchholz. Mark Cannon's going Buchholz. Chris, where are you going?
I like Buchholz as well. Buchholz should I got Buchholz by 10.
Wow. I feel like this is going to be a close game here, and especially with the fact that between these 2 teams, it's going to be battle, but I give the edge to Buchholz at Citizens Field here as we wrap this thing up here with the pick 6. Wow, gentlemen, it has been fun here. Good to have you back on the show here, Reno. Yeah, we're rolling here in week 1, and we got one more show left. Panda Handle Blitz coming up here in just a moment here, and we're going to have Allison Posey on from WCTV Channel 6 in Tallahassee, the local CBS affiliate there, and we'll have her on to talk Big Bend area football. So with that said, we're wrapping it up here. Any final thoughts, guys, real quick as we sign it off?
Good to see Reno again.
Yeah, I think the chat was fired up. They were happy to see Reno too. So, but definitely appreciate everybody joining us here for the North Central Florida Blitz. It is 0-0 on the clock. We are out. We'll see you here in just a couple minutes here for the Panhandle edition of the Blitz. All right, see y'all. We'll be